In this short tutorial, we're going to show you how you can translate within Encorta. One of the questions that came from our community was asking about a field that came in as Chinese, and they were looking to translate it into English. So that's the process that we're going to do here. Over in Encorta, I've already uploaded this file locally as Chinese phrases. I've also built a schema called translation in this case. And you can see all the data here. One of the nice things about this is that there was no extra lift or configuration needed to bring in the special Chinese characters. They all imported nicely by default. Now, one of the things that you're going to need to do next is lean into maybe some Python code to make sure that we can do the translation. In this case, the example that we're going to go through is going to use a library called Translate. So if you'd like to install a library for your materialized view development, you can come back into your Cloud Admin Console, into your cluster environment, and scroll to the bottom and go ahead and install the package that you want. In this case, I'm uploading the latest version of Translate. Okay. There are other options like Google Translate as a library. In my particular case, there were some issues with certain releases of Google Translate, so I lean more towards the Translate module. Okay, so let's go ahead and build a materialized view. Again, the one thing that I did do was that I included the English phrases that they would be correctly translated to from a native speaker, just to show you the difference between the native speaker language and the machine translated language. So let's go ahead and add a materialized view. We'll set it to Python, and we're going to go ahead and edit it in the notebook. So the first thing that we're going to do is import pandas and that translate library. The translate library works on pandas, so we'll have to take a step to not only read data into this notebook, but also convert it over to pandas. So we'll give that a second to run, and we'll go ahead and start editing out our next code block here, our next paragraph. In this case, I'm going to be reading in that table, translations, and doing a quick conversion over to pandas. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run that. The next of which is we're going to be using a function here. We're going to define this function, and I'm going to put this in our community forum as well, where we're going to translate to English, and we're going to take it from English to the Chinese language within this function. Okay. Next of which is I'm creating a new column called machine translation, derived off that Chinese phrase field. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run that. And then the final step was to make sure that we go ahead and save our data frame. Again, if you want to inspect it, you could put in a print statement here just to make sure that you look at it. There's no action here. There's just letting you know that the iter items will be deprecated in future releases of pandas. If you want to work with converting back and forth between Spark data frames and pandas data frames, I highly recommend that you lean towards pandas 1.5.3. Okay, we'll select done, add, let that validate to make sure it will run for just a second. Now that it's validated, let's go ahead and give it a name. We'll save our changes. Let's do a load of our schema once more. Once that's completed, let's go ahead and look at the output. And there you have it, the Chinese phrase, the direct translation from a native speaker into the English language, and how the module or the library within Python had converted it. You'll see there are some discrepancies and differences, but largely speaking, pretty accurate for short phrases. Further testing might be required if you're decoding large blocks or translating large blocks of text, but certainly do this process to get your first look at what that translation process might look like.